All right, welcome to Jack Dodson'S Racing Insider News this week. Let's see. What we got here? Let's think Langley Speedway, 75 year. Man, it's hard to believe the place been here 75 years. I mean, that's a long time. I mean, how old were you when it opened, Jack?
You laughing at me?
Miles of Seamless Gutter. I think those guys for really can't really call them guys. I think them girls because you know
Yeah,
work with Miles.
most
Women run the show over there.
Yep.
There's only a male salesman and the guys that install the gutters. Everybody else is female. Thank them for coming on board and putting up the money for mine and Jack's idea of giving some sponsorship away. Factory Canopies and Fluid Logic. I think those guys have been with us for a few years for donating the chairs. Airlocks. That's right.
No fluid logic.
They gone.
Yeah.
Thanks Todd and Andrea and Davis for helping us out with that stuff. S&N Communications.
You know, speaking of S&N Communications, that damn Morehouse, lug nut.
Oh, he made you mad. Huh?
Oh, he did. He made me mad. Did you see the comment he put on?
Oh, yeah.
You see that comment he put on there? Who's 22? I mean, you know, it didn't take a rocket science to figure it out. And then he makes a crude comment behind it. So, me and him.
What was the crude comment?
I ain't gonna say it, but he and I gonna have a talk.
But I mean, I thought the Robbie Parker comment was pretty good.
Well, I didn't expect any more from Robbie Parker, but I didn't want to expect him.
I didn't know y'all had the same number though.
Yeah, well,
There's one more thing in common.
Robbie Parker had 22 here. I had
Wasn't
22 at Southampton. Well, when they brought them damn fools from here down there to race,
they were cheating.
Yeah, they were.
Back on Langley open.
Well, it's been nice having you.
I'm trying to
Talk about Fast Eddie. Fast Eddie texted me earlier. Somebody was trying to drive around on a flat. But Fast Eddie's Barbecue. We love Fast Eddie's Barbecue. Papa John's. If you order online and use Dotson25, get 25% off on your online orders. Doesn't count against things that are on sale. I tried that. It wouldn't work. A special and 25% off, that's a no-go. Mean Dean Automotive with Greer and Associates, and they're in
Moyock.
He has a hard time with those. Yeah, this has been running for a couple of years. He's getting a lot better. RDS Performance. I didn't win the first limited race. I guess led it close to the end till what the caution come out. I did not watch the race, but I heard it was a really good race.
Yeah, he did. I talked to Nine Toes Saturday down in the pit.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
What did he have to say?
Oh, he was telling me about he's got 10 cars.
10 limiteds.
No, 10 cars total.
Mm.
You still got Justin Curl's late model.
Mm.
He's got 10 cars that he's
Yeah, he's got 6 limiteds.
And he said,
That's right.
And he's got 2 at Dominion.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I said, man,
He's busy.
I said, well, you need a day off. He said, I ain't had a day off. He said, I don't remember. He said, I said, well, you had tomorrow. He said, no. He said, I got to go in tomorrow because we're going to be testing 4 days this week.
Yeah, well, I know Hunter, they were waiting on a spindle. I don't know about this weekend, but I don't know because the last, I was thinking the first race. And they had to come and test a few days before the race because they were just finishing up the last bit.
Yeah. Crystal West. Hey.
But a good run for Crystal,
I'm
right?
going to tell you what. She said she made her
I mean,
mind.
she outran Spanky. Spanky. So we're going to call him Spanky because he's little. He's like a little rascal.
Well, let me tell you something. She said she was at the point where she was thinking about quitting.
Oh, really? Oh.
She said she just made her mind up. I'm going to give it everything I got. And she came home third.
She drove in there like she had no balls.
But she didn't. At least I didn't think. I don't think so. Anyway, I was in there and they're talking to him and they were all excited. I mean, she finally got
I
up.
seen her come over here while I was on.
Oh yeah,
video.
she did. You were on the phone. She came over and that one back. What do you think about that? Went back over there, but yeah, I'm cool.
No, she
I might have to go
was-
back and watch it. I heard a lot
She
about,
said we-
about her.
Did
Yeah,
you?
yeah, about the race. I didn't watch it though.
She said y'all talk crap, so I had to go show what I could deliver. Hey, Jody Dietrich, how you doing, Jody? Before we get to something else here, Heather's birthday this week. So you
Happy
know,
birthday.
happy birthday, Heather. So we see Jody on here. The Virginia clan is good. You know, I'm good. Scott's here.
I was gonna say I'm doing all my stuff.
So it was good to. And Danny Millard. Danny Millard, one of the greatest race car drivers to ever grace the field here at Langley Speedway.
Sure.
That's the OG of the
Only
driver of the
man,
week.
only man end up in victory lane in practice.
Heather turned 50.
Damn,
She don't look 50.
I wouldn't put that on. I wouldn't put that online.
She don't look 50. She's not at all. You know.
That's a no comment.
Ob-
I'm not even touching on that.
I don't know what we're talking about. I'm definitely not.
About
Obviously,
anybody's woman in age. I mean, I'm talking about somebody's woman. Doesn't matter.
but hey, she turned 50. She don't look 50. Jody actually really married up.
Well,
You know,
I mean,
you
that
look at
goes
Jody,
without saying.
you look at Jody, and you look at Heather. You know who married. You know,
Who married up?
Yeah. He just because I act well.
I think Gator Graphics. Let's say Sammy's boy. You know they got. I know that they got 2 Pro 6s,
Yeah, that's what I heard.
and Aaron has been practicing. He come out yesterday and practice, so he's getting better. You know, somebody that's not been in a car before.
Yeah, that's what I heard. They were gonna wait to get him some seat time.
Yeah, I think he's going to run 1 or 2 races. I think they're waiting till the middle of the summer to let him drive some in a race
Yeah.
and see how it goes. He can't wait to come on the show. He's like, when are you going to have me on the show? I was like, whenever you're ready. It seems like you got to drive the car
Yeah, at
first
least-
so people know who you are. He's like,
I'm sure
but-
people will know who he is within one race.
Yeah, well, he's like, well, I figured my name out, last name, everybody should know who we are.
Well, yeah.
Well, there is some
Yeah.
truth to that.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. But he's super excited. It's fun to see the young kids and new people come in the sport.
And Danny Millard has preached that. I've always said since way back, you were one of the best race car drivers that ever came to Langley Speedway. And I saw how you passed out there, past Aaron Leach out there on that racetrack.
I mean, it's almost like he pulled over.
He just zoomed right on by. Just zoomed right on by.
Were you here for that race?
I don't think I should.
But you got to understand, he's that good. That's all that I'm gonna say.
I mean, the stats speak for themselves,
That's
right?
right. He won. So that's all that.
Southampton Motor Speedway. I think Mosquito Joe's one of our biggest fans. Physically, one of our biggest fans. Robert's a big guy.
I spent some time with him Saturday too. Went down there and talked to him. And
I didn't know where you were going when you said we spent some time together.
no, you need to stop. Okay, I'm trying to be serious here. Anyway,
This ain't it.
we went down. We went
Say that
down.
about sponsors, right?
We went down and I talked to him while he's down there listening to the music and stuff. And I mean, he's into it big time. So, and just one of his Mosquito Joe cars won a race this weekend. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Grand Stock. I thought he had something. I went and talked to Bill afterwards. I said, "Man, I thought you had something there for a few minutes." And he's like, "I did too, but I just burnt the right rear up, and then it just toasted going back." That's where you close.
well, hey, look, Tim Wilson tried his best to give it to us. Car smoking and everything.
I didn't know. I wonder what was smoking because we heard over the radio that they said that something smelled like something electrical in the car. I was like, "Oh, that ain't gonna last long."
That's a specific smell too. So.
yeah. It can't give us so much, but
Yeah.
it lasted to the end. I was on the phone, so I didn't hear the Tim talk any trash. There was some controversy going on there.
No, he didn't. I don't think he said anything.
I tried to get him to. I was like, "Are you gonna talk trash?"
I don't think he, I don't think he
I'm
did.
trying to be nice this year.
I don't
That ain't no fun though.
Sometimes you
But
gotta
there were-
stir it up.
Yeah, okay.
But
Well,
there
Tim
was-
will though.
There was a lot going on before the race, and a lot of talking, I heard this person's pissed, and this person's
I
pissed.
started to walk over to the next person's pit, but I didn't. Tim, I didn't. But I was going to and see what they said and give a little stir. Because I heard there was some comments going back and forth.
Yeah, well, I won't go into it. So.
I got to think Pepsi and Mountain Dew. That's mine and Jack's drink of choice. So we got Langley Speedway. I think Tanya McAllister with NPM Marketing. I think Tanya's what Speed 51 now or whatever.
He's still
Still with them.
And also with one of the series he's real big into. Can't remember which one it is.
Yeah, I can't remember either. Bonner's Brothers Distillery. He's gonna go get us some product one day.
One day soon,
Right. Free product. Slinger Speed Company, Tim Brown, the official T-shirt company of Langley Speedway and of the Jack Dodson'S Racing Insider News. Hopefully, we will get some product soon to start giving away. And GAC, Great American Company, Gary Moamaya has been with us for quite a few years now. I think those guys. Oops, I'm gonna turn that off. Huh? Thank those guys and appreciate that. And with that, Jack, you
well,
got.
first of all, I want y'all to look at my hat. Scott Allen went to Vegas and went to the Napa, whatever it's called, convention or whatever they call it, and he brought me a hat back. I want y'all to look at that.
So don't say I never got you.
Scott Allen, that was pretty cool. I'm scared of what he asked when what he told about me when we were out there.
But you'll find out next time we see Bill.
I need to get a hat for my special friend.
Well, I got one. Mine's black, and I was like, they weren't putting them out because they wanted them to be rated. And I said, Bill, can I get a couple more hats? Jack's gonna be pissed if I come back with just one hat for myself. Actually, one of the crew members, but
All right, let's look at the news real quick before we get to that.
Donovan Brown. He knows what I'm talking about.
The flat tire was a month ago.
Oh, was it? Oh, well, he sent it to me, but to today.
Anyway, all right. The Xfinity Series raced this past weekend at the Rock, and Sammy Smith was the winner. He didn't cross the line first, but he was the winner because Justin Love got disqualified.
Well, we'll see how the appeal goes. When's Bill making a decision?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Wednesday is the day. So,
but I understand the bolts were loose. There wasn't a shim in there. So I'm wondering how this is going. I mean, they didn't do that on purpose, right?
why would you even think that somebody would do something like that?
I mean, some of the things that we had learned. Remember when they used to try to skew the rear real bad, and the rule was they had to put so much force on the rear and it couldn't move. Well, what they done is they started putting this big bushing in there, and they put a little teeny bolt in it.
And then break off at some point.
No, it wouldn't break off. It couldn't break off because then the trailing arm would come out. It was on the trailing arm, but then they would use this grade A bolt. And it was a little teeny bolt, and they would put this Loctite on it, and they would torque it to a certain amount because they knew it would hold. And that's why, like after the races, you see the guy, they would downshift real hard after the race because it would pull the trailing arm back, or they would put it in reverse and spin the tires because it would pull it back. So when they go through tech, it would be right, but it would still be enough that it wouldn't move. But we were told, the guys that work on the teams, and the Loctite that they used on the nut was so good that they would have to take a torch and heat it up to break it loose after the race, and they had a whole pile of bolts.
Change them every time they go on the track.
In the truck series, Tyler Ankrum got the win. That's a McAnally truck, got the win down there. In the Arctic East, Brent Cruz got the win. Up at Dominion this past weekend in the big late model race they had up there, Doug Barnes Jr. got the win. Bando race, Penelope Carlisle. In the Legends race, first race, Miles Murray got the win. Second race, Charlie Beals got the win. And in the Dominion Stocks, Richard Powers, I think is his name, Richard Powers, he got the win. Ed Hickory, in the late models, Michael Bumgartner got his 6th win of the season. And Tristan Bruce got the limited late model win. And Tristan is Trip Bruce's son.
Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. And so he got his first win.
And Trip is, where's he at? He's the crew chief.
I'm not sure where he's at now.
In the truck series,
I think he's in the truck series, yeah. Down at Newport Speedway, they finally reopened Newport. Been closed for a little while. They opened it up, and Mark Nesbitt got the win. Rocky Gates beat Kevin Canner
Oh, dang.
for the win at Newport.
Oh, that's good.
So that was a pretty big deal for him. Bowman Gray, the modified winner, Brandon Ward, after he pushed Burt Myers right out of the way to go get the win. And
There.
Well, yeah, that was clean there.
Right, yeah, exactly. You just pushed him out of the way. You
Yeah,
did,
yeah.
right?
Chase Robertson got the win in, I think it was Super Stock. But then the fight broke out.
I seen. Or seen some video.
Zach Staley,
Yeah.
Zach Staley and Justin Albertson had a little controversy. And I think Albertson got the worst end of the deal because he hit him, tore his car, whole front end off his car.
Mm.
So it's a pretty bad deal there. Down at Ace Speedway, Dustin Rumley got the win. The limited was Dalton Ledbetter. At Florence, Cody Kelly got the win. At Nashville, Chase Johnson got the win. At Kingsport, late model winner Derek Lane, Mod 4 winner Kevin Canner. So he's still hot at Kingsport.
Mhm.
Just got to get it over there. Also, this past week we lost two more people in the sport. Dr. Jerry Petty
Oh, really?
passed away today. Was yesterday.
I ain't seen that.
So he passed away, and I mean, he was the doctor, one of the big doctors with NASCAR that,
Mhm.
you know, he did a lot of work with NASCAR and the drivers. And Mike Chase. Mike Chase used to run it out in the West, out in California and all of those Western series out there. But for the last few years, he's worked for many teams in, I mean, well, I think the last team he was with was, I'm not sure if it was Stuart Haas or somebody else, but anyway, he was with Penske for a while. He was a good friend. I mean, I talked to him several times, and he worked with the Wood Brothers when Lee was there.
Oh, okay.
So that's where I got to meet him, and so he passed away this week. And how about the news that Venturini Motorsports is shutting down?
Sold.
Well, sold, but you're not going
That
to be
was
any
a shocker.
Venturini, and he sold it to Nitro Motorsports. And I looked at the thing at Nitro Motorsports. And let me tell you, they're involved in every type of racing there is.
It's almost like a Rick Ware. I hadn't heard of them until it's not like the Nitro people.
Nitro manufacturing.
No.
I don't think so. No, and it's
This
not
is a
part of the
name.
Nitro bicycle whatever
No.
stuff group.
No.
I don't know any of them, but it's kind of surprising. I wonder what's going to happen, because they're a Toyota factory backed team. And it's kind of funny because once I seen that come out, I mean, we were having this conversation. This looked like, Butterbean made the right decision.
Yeah.
There was an offer to go there also, and chose to
Go with
Pinnacle, but it costs more to go to Pinnacle without spilling the beans.
And how about that? He's going to be back on track this weekend. Since first time since Daytona. He'll be back.
No,
No.
Phoenix. I'm saying Phoenix. Yeah, Phoenix.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Second one.
So he's going to be back on track this
I mean,
weekend.
you couldn't ask for a better start, right? Win Daytona.
Should
Should have won Phoenix. Got used up. But I mean, that's part of racing.
That's part
If
of it,
she was on the other foot, can't say we'd have been happy
I
about it.
promise you, I would have moved somebody last lap running darker.
Right.
Or anything, really.
Tripp is competition director at Rayum Racing. So anyway, all right. We're going to make the announcement for driver of the week. Anybody want to guess who the driver of the week is?
It's got to be the late model race.
Yeah, Cole Bruce, driver of the week this week.
And honestly, I mean, you can't pick a better person for this past week. I mean, got a new sponsor this year. I did not know that. I guess that deal has sort of been in the works for a while, but they could not sponsor him because he wasn't 21 until January. I was like, well, how old are you? He's like, I turned 21 in January. I'm like, oh. But I know that we had a conversation about it. The tariffs has kind of interfered with some of the sponsorship, the tariffs that are going on, because they don't know what the aluminum's going to cost for the cans and stuff. So some of it's been kind of held back until they figure out what's going to happen, and they may still go forward with some other parts of it. but pretty excited. And he can't do but so much running late models because I don't know how much more pilot school he's got because he's in class, Monday through Thursday, I think it is.
Well, I had
Thursday, Friday.
talked to him a couple weeks ago.
He said he's not ignoring you, Jack. He wants to come, but he's at class or he's flying.
Yeah, he told me that. He said he was flying, but that's cool. That's what he does.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the news.
Did you put out Langley or because
Oh, yeah, I thought he skipped that too.
I did because I'm used to.
Adam usually does it.
I'm used to the Pit Road Roundup with Adam, and
Adam is not feeling well, so he
okay, my fault. Let's do Langley Speedway.
Damn, you're on the chip, Jack.
Hey, I didn't. I'm always used to just saying Adam.
Yeah.
And I sometimes don't even make notes about it. So I just, anyway. All right, late model race number 1, Woody Howard got the win. So,
yeah, and I would say that I was a little surprised by that, to be honest. I mean, Woody, the last several years, hasn't run. I mean, he's run up front, but hasn't dominated any races, and has squeaked in a win, once or twice here in the last couple of years.
I think he has.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I think he won one last year at the end of the
no,
season.
he didn't win one.
Not last year or year before last.
Yeah, he didn't win one.
And then, but to win the first one, I know, there was a group that was a little aggravated over that, but that is racing too. Yep. But to come back and win, and I thought Greg had a better car. I thought that he was just sort of riding behind him, waiting. But I think if he'd have went a lap sooner, but there was some lap traffic those last few laps.
Driver of the week won late model race number 2, Cole Bruce, and that was he pretty much drove away from him at it.
He did, and I will say, I mean, there's and probably some people, he had a little better tires because I forget there was something going on with the motor and it was missing, and I didn't know until Sam and them were telling me. He was like, I don't know what his motor was flat, like you could hear him flat-footed and it was just sputtering. So I'm sure that helped with tires, and then finishing where he did. He got the pole for the invert and then ran off with it. But he's got new equipment this year. They sold both of their cars last year and bought a new chassis this year. And so they got all their effort into one car.
I heard a lot of people on new chassis this year.
Yeah, I mean, Danny went to it a year before last, I think. And I mean, Mark's been running them for a good while now.
Yeah.
The Torp chassis. And Torp was here the first week, the first race. And I think kind of helped her assisting along that with the car. But he's running well, and this is his 4th season. He's kind of matured as a race car driver, and I heard a lot of praise about him afterwards.
In the super trucks, Chris Bechtel got win number 6.
But
he was given that race at the end. He got lucky.
He was
super lucky. But like he said, I'd rather be lucky than good sometimes.
Yeah.
And I
feel bad for what's the kid's name in the 11?
Avery Farrell. Is it Farrell? What is it?
Wesley Knoll.
Leslie Knoll. Okay, I'm sorry.
I think he should have won the race. I don't think he should have been put to the rear. I mean, I'll just say it. And if you look at the replay, the old man Bill, he got loose trying to pass the car and come across his nose, and they ended up putting Wesley to the rear. I don't think that was the right call, but I'm not the one that makes the calls, and sometimes you look up and you think it's one thing, but I don't think he should have been. That's just my opinion.
I didn't watch it. Yeah.
But they were coming up on a lap car. He was behind him, and he got under a lap car. Wesley was it was getting to him. They were both fairly close in speed, but Bill every once in a while would get loose and lose some momentum, so that he would sort of catch back up with him. And then he was sort of trying to get under him as they were going by a lap car, and Bill would get loose. He needs to tighten it up just a little bit, because he'll get real loose every 3 or 4 laps, and then he's good for 3 or 4 or 5 laps, and then he gets real loose, like he's about to lose it and don't. But he just got loose on the backstretch, and he just lost himself. And he didn't touch him, but by the time he got here, Leslie hit him. Yeah, didn't really hurt either one of the trucks. So I felt bad for him, for a young kid to win his race.
In the Grand Stocks, Tim Wilson took a smoking car and won the race. I mean, there was a couple times I didn't think car was going to make it to the end, but
I didn't either.
But he did and got the win.
Raymond said the rule is everyone involved in the caution. I don't know that that's the rule, or didn't know that was the rule. But
anyway, in the U cars, Thomas.
I mean, I know we're arena racing,
Yeah,
You
you can't not be involved in a caution there.
Yeah. I don't know how, I think one night I got put to the back. I don't know how many times because me and one other person couldn't get away from each other.
All right. Well, that was Langley Speedway. Missing Adam. He does a good job of that. Anyway, we got Matt Dale with us.
It says section 4 under procedures 3.3. He's got the fucking rule book out, right?
Yeah.
Well, but honestly, I mean, it still could go either way, I think, because he was spun out. But then again, I mean, they did that shit in arena racing. I thought it was fucking stupid.
I don't really like that rule, but
No.
Now, Brandy Marshall's she's on it.
Uh-oh.
She knows what's going on too. So
they lose Portland. I like that. That's the way I've always thought it should be.
But anyway, Matt Dale.
Yep.
What we racing this year?
First six.
Aren't you glad you ain't got Scott Allen in that race?
What do you mean?
He ain't racing the Pro 6s.
Yeah, I don't think me and Matt's since he was a little kid. I don't think we've ever raced against each other.
Okay, well you've been out here when he was racing.
Oh yeah, I've been out here when he was racing. Yeah.
Okay, then you ought to know. But yeah, I'm glad to see you out there. What got you into the Pro 6 this year?
We just decided to keep running it. I mean, we ran it last year. Ran I think 4 races last year, and then decided to run this year. I mean, it's a fun class. I really hate to see us lose a few cars, but like you said, some of the cars that they have, they're waiting.
Yeah, well, I mean, they bought a backup. I mean, they expect him, like any young person that first starts driving, they're going to wreck it, right? So they're thinking of, maybe the having an extra car or the other car,
Right.
to tear up, just in case, and they'll have the good car.
Yeah.
So what was that win like the other night when you got that first win there this year?
It was good. Them last few restarts I was like, are we ever gonna go green? I think I saw the white flag 2 or 3 times, but then they had like wrecked behind me coming to the white, but we didn't get a full lap in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another fucking arena racing rule.
Yeah.
You can take the white flag and be like this close to the damn checker flag.
Yeah.
The caution come out. Oh, let's do it over.
I was like, please don't miss a shift.
Now, I didn't see the race. Is the guy in Tommy's car fairly fast? Did he run? He was supposed to run, right?
The Andrew.
Yeah. I don't know him, but I guess Tommy was telling me about him, but I don't know much about him.
I talked to him a little bit. Nice guy.
Yeah, supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess he's not running the whole season. There's something going on. He's
I
going
don't
to
know.
miss some races in the end or something.
And it's got to be good that Travis Law is no longer out there. I'm gonna say it. He stinks up the show when he's out there.
Well, he does, and I'm not going to put words in Matt's mouth, but I think he would probably agree. There's nobody better you want to beat than Travis, because he has sort of dominated this class for a long time.
Like,
and we've raced and known each other for.
I've ran Travis
forever.
for probably since I was like 11, 12 years old. I love racing with Travis.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many times we've like moved each other, and then he'll do it back to me in the next corner, and it'll just go back and forth. That's like someone you can race with every single week and almost never wreck each other. And if you do wreck each other, it wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
And
I don't know
even
if anybody's ever said anything bad about Travis.
No, I don't think there is.
Yeah. I mean, really.
I really wish he was running.
Sure.
I mean, he's fast, and you always want to beat someone faster.
So how many cars did y'all have out there that last week?
I think we had 6, and then I think only 5 started.
Oh, what happened to? Did B-Secker show up?
She was there. I don't know if she started a race or not. And I know Chris fell out. I saw him getting black flag for something. I didn't.
Really?
Yeah, I saw it on the board when I was running.
Well,
I mean, that car's fast. So, I mean, that should make it. And I'm not downing everybody in Pro 6 because we all got to start somewhere. But I mean, you and I will put you in the league of the Travis and sort of me. We've been there for a little while. We know enough. We're fairly fast, and there's some guys that just haven't figured it out yet.
Even then, you mentioned starting. I don't even know if it's. I mean, it is a start class. Don't get me wrong, but if your budget only allows for that, that is a really fun class and a cheap class.
Correct. Compared to everything else here, is probably the cheapest.
Probably a quarter.
Least expensive.
A quarter of the cost of
what'd you spend in Legends compared to?
Oh, a lot more compared to the Pro 6. I mean, I don't know what the guys are doing now with the Hoosiers, but we were on Federals. We were buying a set every week, or at
If
least,
you wanna run up front,
right
though.
sides every week, at bare minimum, to run up front.
Yeah.
So Pro 6, you only get one tire a week. And,
I mean, the maintenance is fairly low unless you wreck it.
yeah, maintenance is, oil plugs. We do trans and rear end fluid every year, and then bearings, go through the bearings all the time.
Right.
But
it's as closest to a late model, I think, as you can get here without spending the money.
Right. Oh yeah, it's
and we're similar in speed. I mean, they're not that much faster.
By the time they put 40, 50 laps on their tires, we're pretty close time wise. Me and Landon were talking about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, it's a good class. If anybody wants to run, that's besides I'm sure you can go cheaper. I think U-Car is a little bit cheaper, but that's a front wheel drive car. But a rear wheel drive stock car, that's the way to go.
All right, we got Shannon Ronaldo on here.
And did you fix the Facebook post?
I did not fix it. I did
She
not.
doesn't work
I owe her
for
an
Rick
apology.
Ware.
I owe her an apology. I did not fix the Facebook page. But anyway.
How you doing?
Hey, good. How are you guys?
Good.
So how's
Thanks for
things
having me.
going with you?
What's that?
How's things going with you?
Good. We've been busy, but good. Enjoyed the off week. That's always nice, right? Everybody enjoys that.
Get that off week. Now let me ask you a question. I put down that you were working for somebody else.
Found out that I was wrong. And you're
Yeah,
with RFK Racing. So
Yep, that's correct.
how did you get started in racing? I mean, you come from a diverse thing here, IT, catching tires. I mean, how did you get involved?
Yeah, so really I was just looking for a change of pace and I saw the job get posted with RFK and I've always I didn't have a background in NASCAR, didn't really know much about it, but had always just loved cars and thought it sounded like a pretty cool fit and way to kind of blend those two worlds and just applied and ended up hearing back from those guys and inevitably getting the job. So yeah, definitely interesting path versus most.
So what all do you, I mean, when you get there and have to hook up all this stuff and get everything together, how much of that stuff do you do? I mean, do you have to hook all the lines and get everything situated?
Yep, I do. Yeah. So I hook up everything at the haulers, power everything on there, get all their network coax run, do the same thing at the practice cart for practice and qualifying, and then the same thing at the pit boxes on Sunday. Yeah, that's everything I do at all of those different spots.
So you actually run a cable from the truck to the pit box?
Nope, no. NASCAR drops blue cases actually, on pit road and then also over with the hauler. So we all hook into those.
Okay, I was going to say, man.
Yeah, that'd be quite the run. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a lot. It's funny that I think we had sort of talked about this. We like to bring different people from different aspects of the race team, and people have no idea how much goes into. I remember the first time I carried my brother to a race, and he's like, "I thought you just showed up with a car and a trailer, and just pull out on the racetrack." Like he had no idea how many people work behind the scenes. And I didn't really. I mean, I know they all have the internet because our internet doesn't work half the time. So you get on the team's internet. That they had an IT person for that, which makes sense. But I honestly, I didn't know that.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one of the most common things I get, even from just fans kind of walking up and down pit road on a Sunday setting up, is if they actually stop and look at the pit box and ask questions, they say the same thing. They just didn't really have any idea how much tech was on all of the stuff and that we had a dedicated role for something like that.
So how long does it take you to get everything hooked up? I mean, when you get to the racetrack, let's say you get to the racetrack on Friday or Saturday, and how long does it take you to get all that done?
It's probably like 30 minutes to an hour to get all of those cables run and then just power on each of the haulers and kind of make sure everything's working. It'll be a little bit longer if for some reason the network doesn't come up and we have an issue. But yeah, probably 30 minutes to an hour if all is good and we're just connecting those cables in and powering everything up.
So do you do all the teams? I mean, you're doing it for all three teams?
Yep, all three of RFK's teams, and then we have the Tech Alliance with both Rick Ware and Haas, so we also support them a little bit at the track as well.
Wow, that's pretty cool that you're involved with all that. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, been pretty cool.
Yeah. So now, how much information do y'all send back? Because, again, we're going back to some people that don't realize there's a lot of teams that have engineers back home at an office, and they're paying attention to the race, and they're communicating. I'm assuming that's coming through that internet service. Do y'all have like a program dedicated for that?
Yep, it is. Yeah. So there's certain things, yep, that we have like file shares at the track that we have some stuff trackside. And then we do have sync processes to take like photos and videos and sync some of that stuff back to the shop to our guys that are in the war room, like the second engineers that would be looking at that stuff a little bit more heavily.
So do you during the race now, this is where you caught me. During the race, you're catching tires. So you're not doing anything with the computers or anything during the race.
So I do still have to support all of the technology. So I will still be, if there's an issue at one of our pit boxes, I'm still running back and forth between them. But then when Chris stops and is pitting, I have to go back and catch the right front.
Wow.
How often is there an issue? And are you stressed to the hill when something goes down?
Yeah, I try my best to be proactive for sure and try to make sure that I triple check everything with all the pit boxes before the race ever starts to kind of minimize that. But inevitably, sometimes, you have someone that during a pit stop bumps into the network cable and knocks it out and we lose network. So you'll have, things like that you inevitably get into. And yeah, that can always be tough. I'm always carrying a radio with me trying to listen for Graves saying anything that maybe we're coming in on Chris and pitting where I need to run back and go back and forth, but typically it's pretty smooth and hasn't been an issue.
So then how do you know if something's going on? Do they radio over to you, and do you have like 3 or 4 channels that you're listening to?
Yeah, so we do. So in our intercom system, we actually created specific IT channels, and our engineers will pretty heavily use that if they're having an issue. And then beyond that, just Teams. They'll just ping me on Teams and I can see it on my laptop or my phone. So any number of those ways they'll kind of grab us. And
So what was your background prior to this?
it was all in IT. So I went to school for IT and had worked in that all leading up to working for RFK, and then obviously still in IT, just in a very different world. So I worked, I was actually working for Union County down here in North Carolina when I first moved down here. And that's where I was leading up to RFK.
So then what has been the biggest, what exactly am I trying to say? What's been your biggest surprise of being in the NASCAR world that you didn't expect or you were kind of surprised by?
I think the biggest thing to get used to coming from a corporate world was probably just the pace and the constant setup and tear down. And you don't just, have stuff that always stays in one place. It's just always moving around with you. And inevitably that kind of creates issues sometimes because we do set up and take down every single week. And I think another big one was just the communication, right? Like you're sitting in an office, we all just talk to one another, you're next to each other, and it's pretty easy to communicate. But I think that was definitely a little bit of a hurdle at first too, getting used to being able to communicate with people in that environment and using a radio to do so and being able to convey things properly to people in such a loud environment sometimes.
Now, are you IT back at the shop also, or are you just primarily for the weekend stuff?
Back at the shop as well. Yep. So I'm at the shop usually a couple days a week and trying to get stuff ready for trackside stuff between the haulers and practice carts and stuff, anything I need to do on those. But I also do shop stuff as well. Yep. So supporting kind of normal day-to-day stuff there when I'm around as well.
Now, do you carry extra stuff? Is there extra stuff that comes to the racetrack just in case something goes down?
There is, yep. So we actually on the 17 hauler up in the top in the granny walk, they kind of dedicated that space. And we actually have a whole bunch of extra equipment up there, from extra cables, extra TVs, monitors, like any of the bigger stuff that go down that like our engineers and crew chiefs and people rely on that we have to have. So yeah, we have a whole space on the hauler dedicated to all that stuff.
Now, have you gotten a nickname yet? Because almost everybody in NASCAR has a nickname. Except
No,
Andrew.
not that I know. So if I had, I would have shared it.
Or you hadn't screwed up bad enough.
All right, we're gonna have to get Andrew on that to get you a nickname.
Yeah, sounds good.
Andrew said he needs credit for being the booking agent for all these people.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I mean, it's really cool that you got into it. And then you just asked to catch tires, or did you just go over there and start doing it?
We actually had already done that. Yep. So that was something that the IT team already handled. So I just kind of got thrown into it and have always just been able to do that, which is a really cool aspect to be able to take part of for sure.
Wow.
Now, what's your thoughts on, I mean, for years, this was a mostly male-dominated sport, right? And then we see more and more females. We see a lot more today. I mean, there's a couple engineers that's at Penske's she's been there for a long time. So that's got to be pretty cool. Have you ever run into where you did, I guess maybe didn't feel like you should be there?
No, I don't think the nice thing is the guys don't really make me feel that way, but it is always nice when you see more and more women coming in for sure, right? It's just a great thing to see. But I think also been very fortunate in that the guys have always just been really welcoming and never made me feel weird in that aspect or
Yeah, well, I think times have changed, right? I mean,
Well, yeah.
20 years ago, it would be much different than it is
a little bit
today.
different.
Well, it's like when I went to school with, I had, girl engineers. They were always so much more detail oriented than we were. Like we were just writing notes with everything. And you
Are
got,
you saying they're better?
yeah.
Probably so.
Yeah, like pretty much. Yeah, they're definitely take better notes and like it's more meticulous.
Because we just wing it.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be yeah,
Brains work
Until
different,
it-
right?
yeah. It's good till it breaks.
So you hung out with the women so that you could get better.
Absolutely, I did. Oh my god.
I could totally see that.
Well, we really think it's really cool that you do that. And when we come to Charlotte, we're gonna have to come down there and hang out and watch what you do, see how you do things. I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be cool to get a little background and see how you do it. Watch you in your busy day at the
Yeah, for
racetrack.
sure.
Well,
Sounds
now,
good.
do you see a bunch of young girls on pit road come by and talk to you? They probably gravitate to you because you're another female, or fans that come through that see a female and they're like, oh, maybe I can do this too, right?
Yeah, honestly, I do get it a little bit, not as much as I feel like maybe you would expect or think. I don't know. And I honestly think that sometimes it's more so the guys that come up to me and are more surprised to see a female and will strike up
Females
the
are easier
conversation.
to talk to.
No, that's why they're more approachable. Honestly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But she's better looking than most of the guys.
Well, Shannon, we appreciate you spending time with us tonight. I know you got a lot of stuff going on and doing a lot of work and everything. So we really appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk with us. And
Yeah, and best of luck to you.
yeah, and when we come down to Charlotte, we're gonna look you up and come down there and talk to you for a little while.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you guys again so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been great talking to you.
We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. See ya.
Okay. I mean, it is pretty cool to see more and more. When we see more today. I mean, look, we were talking about what's name in the U car, and we got some other kids in the limited, and there's so many more young. There's a bunch of young females today now. It is neat. And I think years ago you would get mad at some girl. I mean, of course we had. I can't think of her name, but run arena racing. There was actually a few girls.
There was a few because there was
Michelle Pearl was like one of the OGs, I think. And then you had what's her name's her dad that builds chassis.
I know there was
Mason's girlfriend.
I know there was Olivia Florian.
Yeah,
She ran.
Yeah, in its division.
And then who else? Can't think of it. I know there was a lot more girls running arena racing than I think I've ever seen out here running.
In different periods, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it does a lot. I think it's cool to see more and more females. Andrew said all his guests tonight freebies because they are such awesome people.
Well, we appreciate you thinking us as awesome people.
I don't think he was talking about us.
I
think he's talking about the guests.
I thought Andrew was awesome people.
Yeah, we got to thank Andrew because Andrew has been a big help and it always feeds us when we go to the racetrack. And Andrew's the chef for Rick Ware and has been through
today, Junior.
Been with several teams and he always introduces us to different people in the sport and it's kind of cool. Like Walter's going to be an interesting guy that is in part of the sport, works on the TV side of it, but also handles kind of what information is put through the TV. So in other words, when the pit road reporter, whoever he's assigned to, he gets notes from different teams, and he's like, if you give me a note that says the car's tight, your information is probably not going to get on TV. Right. But it says, hey, he drives in, it's loose, tight through the center up. That's probably going to make
Right,
some detail, right? And I would have never thought that much about it. But, he's like, hey, it's got to be interesting for me. But,
Yeah, I've seen him running around there behind Jamie Little and some of those people. That's a hell of a job to have to run around behind Jamie Little.
I'm not saying it. I'll believe this one alone, Jack. But yes, another female that is doing well in the sport.
I mean, I'd rather have Jamie Little than Regan Smith. I mean, you think,
well, I mean, she's way better looking.
So he gets the up the end of the deal there. He gets the top end of the deal. Anyway, we'll get back to Matt for a few minutes until we hear something from somebody else. We're supposed to have Carson Ware coming on.
Okay.
But anyway, we'll see what happens there. So, Matt?
So, Matt, what made you decide to go from the Legends to the Pro 6?
Well, we just kind of slowed down with legend racing. I was in school, so I just had to slow down with the stuff. It's hard to do both. And then, to be honest with you, I was somewhere and I got a call. He's like, "Hey, you want to run a Pro 6?" I was like, "Sure." And I've always wanted to, because actually, before I got my legend car, I was actually talking to Ryan at After Hours about building a new Pro 6 to come run. And we were kind of like weighing our options. And, the one thing I think really the only reason why we didn't go Pro 6 is because, unfortunately,
cost.
Well, honestly, I think at the time it wasn't that much difference. The problem with it was, unfortunately, only Langley races them.
Yes.
So I don't know if the chassis are the same as like.
It's not.
Okay,
so it's that I'm aware of it.
Right. I didn't know if it was I know it's closer to our modified chassis. It's not.
It is because it's all set, right?
Right.
But it's a fun class.
It really is.
I really don't know why there's not more.
I started racing it. I started. Once we finally got the car squared away. After like race 1, race 2, and you start racing with people, and I'm like, man, this is like kind of fun. It's not as.
I know for me, and you coming at a sort of a different time. When I first got here, there was a lot more fast cars.
Right.
And I mean, you raced hard for 6th or 7th, and I mean there was 12 or 13 cars then, and you were close in speed with that guy, so you had to work to try to get by him, and that was fun, right? I mean, racing side by side, even if it's for 5th or 3rd or 2nd.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
I mean, the last couple of years, and it was before Travis really started dominating. And so some guys who kind of got out of the sport, and you could still chase those guys, but it wasn't, the next car wasn't that far ahead,
right?
In progression where,
right.
When later on, and it's no disrespect to the guys that are out there now that are learning, because we all go through those learning things.
Right.
Phases.
I mean, most of them, they've only had, a race or two. They'll figure it out. And quick.
Well, and then some people don't share a lot of information, right? We don't share it. We don't give our fast secrets away. But when it was just,
did you have it?
Yeah.
Okay.
but when it's just Travis is kind of in his own league at the time, and you just run out and you're finish 2nd or 3rd, it wasn't fun.
I agree, and I kind of saw that, and I was like, all right, I got to beat Travis somehow. And so I made sure I had to beat him at least once.
Well, Carson, are you going to turn your video on?
Yeah.
All right.
Look, do your thing too. Don't forget that.
Oh, are you? I always forget. Let's see.
Well, I had it on point last week.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
I'm gonna eat some pizza.
Hi, I'm Lenny Baticki from PRN at the Track, and you're watching Jack Dodson's Racing Insider with Scott Allen and Adam Wellbrock.
What's up, Carson? How you doing, man?
What's going on, guys? How are y'all?
We're doing good. So, what's going on in your life these days?
Shoot, just getting ready to got a cars tour race coming up next weekend, not this coming weekend, but the next. Just working on sponsorship stuff, planning the XFINITY schedule out that I got sponsorship for, and just trying to stay on the grind. You guys know how it goes.
So, when you're talking about the cars tour, do you drive for somebody else in the cars tour, or is that one of your cars?
So it's one of our cars. It's a Rick Ware Racing late model team. It's all of our in-house guys, JR Courage, Troy, Holly. So we have a whole. It's actually a shop that we used to run the Cup program out of. So it's just a bunch of about 4 or 5 guys full time that go with us, and we build our cars with Fury, and then we house them in house and with all of our stuff.
So where is your shop?
The late model shop's in Mooresville. It's right by the old 2311 shop.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
I know where it's at. Okay, well, cool. So about how many Xfinity races you gonna be running?
So right now, I was supposed to go to Talladega, but with the entry list, and us not having a lease motor, we kind of decided that probably wasn't the best option to go. I was supposed to go run that with Mike Harmon, but unfortunately, we just didn't have the money or resources that we needed to prep the car to be able to go try and beat 10 cars on speed. Um, so Talladega's off the list. I have Pocono. I'm working on Charlotte. I have Iowa, potentially Dover. The second Bristol, um, should be the second Martinsville also. Um, Supposed to be doing still all the super speedways except for this weekend. Um, and a couple others. So they're kind of spread out here and there, but definitely will have a lot more races in the season this year than I did last year.
Okay, it sounds like you've added some since I talked to you a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Are all those going to be with Mike Harmon?
No, sir. So a couple are with Mike. Some are going to be. So I have one with Bobby Dotter again in the '07. That'll be the second Bristol.
Okay.
And then some with Joey Gase, and then we got some money for a couple races, but just trying to find availability. Really, I think that's the biggest struggle so far. Is a lot of guys have their rides sold for the year, and that's great for the sport and great for the team owners and stuff. So just trying to find people that have availability really is kind of the biggest hurdle I'm having right now.
So with your daddy being Rick Ware and your brother out there racing and everything, I mean that's a lot of people you can pull from as far as getting knowledge for. It's really cool that you're doing racing for other teams other than Rick Ware Racing at most places.
Yeah, I think it's been really resourceful, right? Because I can lean on guys like my brother. Obviously, my dad's been in it his whole life, so he's someone I can lean on. But also, too, I've really enjoyed being able to work with a bunch of different teams, different crew chiefs, different team owners. Some of the team owners are also drivers, so that dynamic and relationship's really cool. And there was a point in time where my father had an Xfinity program, and shoot, that was the biggest series that we ran in for a while, right? Like that we
Right.
were just in the Xfinity series, and potentially in the future, I could see my dad probably starting up another Xfinity team if it makes sense. Obviously any form of NASCAR is very, very expensive, and we're trying to put everything we have into our Cup program right now. But luckily there's been some talks with a couple teams and a couple scenarios to work out a full schedule for next year. So, but fortunately enough, I grew up in the garage, and a lot of the teams and people that I'm driving for, like with Joey, he raced Cup for a really long time for my dad, and grew up around him, and Bobby Dotter is someone that I've known pretty much my whole life, and my dad's relationship with him is really good. So he's someone I can really lean on, and always has my back and has really good feedback. And shoot, same thing with Mike. I was making my first Xfinity starts when COVID was still happening, and we had zero practice and zero qualifying, and I was hopping in his race car to try and go figure out Darlington for the first time. So I'm super fortunate to be able to work with a bunch of different people, and everybody's been so great to me. And it's it keeps it exciting, it keeps it fun. You never know what the scenario will look like, or some different teams throughout the year, but it's been good.
Now, I got to ask Dal, being associated with your dad and the team, that's got to be good in some ways and bad in others, right? So I feel like that very possible that you could go into some scenarios and they're like, well, why don't you just go talk to your dad, right? So it can be sometimes. I think people think it's easier for you, but it's probably more difficult.
Yeah, so I think it would be a lot easier if my father still had an Xfinity team, right? Because then I would hope that I could find a ride with my dad, right? And I think that there's also, I feel it sometimes. I think there's a lot of added pressure to, being that my dad's, Rick Ware. But at the same time, it's like, my father's in this business to make a living, right? Like we don't have we don't have an outside company that generates a lot of dollars for us, and we just like to go racing, right? You know, like we are a racing family. We race to survive. We literally race to live and pay our bills, right? So I think that changes the dynamic a little bit. And my father can't just cut checks for me to go run rides. You know, it's all about relationships, us having sponsorship and being able to provide some sort of funding to make these deals work. But you know, it's honestly the scenario and the dynamic makes me want it more. It kind of gives you a mentality, and you have to learn how to grind, right? Because you know, knowing that we can't just write checks every single weekend for rides. You know, I have to go digging for sponsorship and finding people to team up with me and make stuff happen. So it just adds fuel to the fire for me, right? And it's been a really fun experience, and I'm thankful for the scenario that I'm in.
Well, and I think that I think that part of the business could be sort of a benefit so far as the negotiation or how to approach a sponsor. I think some of those things you can learn from people like your dad and other people and that side of it, like how do you approach this, or what's the best way to make the presentation to these people. So I think that's some of the pros, right? Getting the deal done is a lot harder than, because you're going to hear 100 no's and maybe 2 yeses, right?
Yep.
So what's it? I mean, have you looked at any other form of racing? I mean, your dad's involved in just about everything I can think of.
Drag racing, motorbike. What is he not racing?
I think really the only thing we haven't tried is probably like bowling. I always, I joke to say, one day we'll probably have like an RWR bowling team, right?
He needs to get the IT girl.
Call her back up. Tell her to stop by.
Go by Carson's and
Uh-oh. Come on back, Carson. We ain't mean to run you off.
And I was going to tell him, because I see Walter here in the queue here, that he makes up women. Yeah, we
got you back now. I thought you got mad at him for his question.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so I think so I grew up when I was about 15, 16 years old. I started doing like junior dragsters, like the alcohol, like 792 alcohol dragsters. So I experienced a little bit with that. And then now that my dad's very heavily involved in the NHRA Top Fuel, he's voiced to me a lot that he would love for me to go drag racing. He's provided me multiple scenarios with how we can make it work, and working with Clay Milliken and soon Tony Schumacher. So I definitely have a lot of resources with that. The only thing is though, it's like I grew up in a stock car world, right? Like that's what I grew up being raised around at the track. And I have a huge love for any form of
That's the sponsors calling him. He's got to hang out.
He's been working hard on the sponsors. I had a good conversation with him. We were talking about some of the sponsors and who he's got coming on board. Oh.
It's probably actually somebody calling his phone.
Oh, it could be. It could be. Yeah, maybe so.
And obviously, they're more important than we are.
It is blew us out, right?
Times are tough. You got to get anything you can.
All right. Yeah. So I guess,
well,
you may want
let's wait just a minute, because he's.
Yeah,
Hey, pops back on again. Here we go.
Is your phone ringing off the hook?
I'm sorry, I keep getting a call.
That's what he's like. I bet it's a phone call.
Well, Carson, before we let you go, I got something I got to tell you. I know somebody that you probably know really well that used to come and hang around you.
Yeah.
A lot. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I think so.
It's a she.
You probably know my son.
Are you talking about Kendra?
Yes. Yeah. That's my daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
And his good babysitter?
Yeah. No, she was a huge part of my life, and she still is. Like she was, God, I can't remember when she was first my babysitter, but I mean, I literally grew up with her. Like, she was around, and she was also involved with our race team for a bit, but she's like a second mom to me.
Yeah. I remember she told me, that she was, and she used to be around there, and even Lee when he came to work at Rick Ware for a little while. So, it was pretty cool that.
Oh yeah.
So it's something, we have a little connection there,
Yeah, we
so
definitely do.
don't run me off when I come see you at the racetrack or something.
Yeah.
Carson's not like that. I'm gonna give you a tip though, because we got Walter on here, and I know you got to know Walter Cox. Now, when your PR person gives you some information, you make sure you give Walter some good information if you want to try to get on TV. Walter's giving us that's right. He give you that little tidbit. It's gonna be interesting his view of the sport. But we're gonna have him on.
Well, Carson, we appreciate you spending some time with us tonight, man. It's really good to talk to you, and we'll try to look you up when we get down to Charlotte and talk to you a little bit down there too.
Yeah, and if you get any of those sponsors, man, if you want to announce them and bring them on the show and bring them on with you to help sweeten the pot, let us know, man. We're here to help in any way we can.
And we'll all meet at Andrews and eat together.
Heck yeah, let's do it. No, I really do. I appreciate your guys' time, and thank you for allowing me to be on here. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and we'll stay in touch and we'll make this happen more often.
Please do. We'll be in touch, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
See you, buddy. I mean, he's a good kid. I talked to him for a little while at I don't know where we were at. I don't remember what. But I'll put you on there. I'll do that for. But yeah, but let's get Walter on here. All right, let me play another video before I forget.
Yeah, let's do that because
we got to look professional when we have the TV guy on. let's do.
Probably shouldn't have wore flip-flops then, huh?
Yeah, right.
Well, he can't see you.
Let me know when I'm hot.
You're hot.
Robert Rummels with Mosquito Joe. Thank you for tuning in to the Jack Dodson Racing Insider News with Scott Allen. See you next week.
That's the time I see that I get excited because he's on it, buddy. Let me tell you,
play him all the time because it's like gets you pumped up.
And he's like that every single time you see him.
He wasn't putting on.
I saw him.
The guy.
He's the Mosquito Joe guy.
He asked me. He said, "Who are you watching before the race?" He said, "Who are you watching in the late model race tonight? Who do you think's got a good shot?" I said, "Well, I think it's going to be Woody. I think Woody's going to." And then I walked back down there later after all that was over with. It was after Bechtel won his race. I come back by there and he hollered at me. He said, "You called that one, right? I thought that was pretty cool that you knew what you were talking about."
At least blood pressure's always got to be up. He is on the chip. What's up, Walter? How you doing, buddy?
Hello, gentlemen. How's it going this evening?
We're doing great. How about you?
Absolutely fabulous. Just glad to be here on your show. It's an honor and a privilege to be on Jack Dodson'S Racing Insider News.
No, it is an honor to have you with us. I tell you what, I have seen you at the racetrack thousands of times. And, I knew you were running around behind Jamie Little, and I wouldn't stop anybody from that. But, but I mean, that was, I was always wondered exactly what you were doing, and then I found out what you do. And how long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been a fan since Ben Hur was driving chariots, and I used to work for Dick Berggren back in the day. But this is my 34th year doing this.
Wow,
that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
What did you do before?
That's funny. I used to work in a refrigeration factory. You seen the Schwann trucks that go through the neighborhood selling frozen meats and desserts and stuff? Well, we made the units and the plates that go inside those trucks.
Wow. That's a far cry from what you're doing now. I mean,
how did you go from one to the other?
Wow. Well, back in the day, I worked at that DAIL refrigeration. They got a plug there. That was 16 years. And back then, they didn't broadcast all the races. They might do 6 or 8 out of the whole season. They pick and choose.
Yeah.
And so I would dabble in that back in CBS Sports and TNN Sports and Diamond P Sports. And so when it finally decided to go full-time, now this is funny because Steve Burns got hired by Fox, and I'd worked several truck races with him up at the Nashville Fairgrounds. And he calls me up on the phone and says, "Hey, we worked together a time or two, and I really like what you did. They're asking me to go full-time. Would you come with me?" And I thought it was a joke at first because he'd never called me on the phone before. But then it hit me. I said, wait, let me think about it. Okay, I'll do it. So, but now I've got a regular, factory job, 40-hour a week that I would take off a Friday here and there to go work the races when they was available. But now Steve's asking me to go full time. And I thought, well, that's half a season. NBC had the other half back in 2000, 2001, I think.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so then a week later, I get a call from Matt Yoakum. And he asked if I wanted to work the second half with him in NBC. And I said, wait, let me think about it. Okay. So there, I'm in for the full season. I let my regular, consistent, full-time job go, and boom, I jumped in with both feet.
Well, I mean, it's got to be good that you're doing both ends of the season, but you with two different people. But I mean, two different organizations. But really, it's cool that you're there doing the same thing all year long, so everybody knows what you're up to and what you're doing.
Oh, goodness. I tell you, where I got my start, are you familiar with the Kyle Petty charity bike ride?
Yes, I am very much.
They made a stop what used to be Opryland Amusement Park up in Nashville, Tennessee. And me and the boys in the shop would go up there and take our cars and hero cards. And, as fans, we wanted to get them signed by the drivers. And Ned Jarrett was up there that weekend. And I asked him, I said, Ned, I want to get into this on the TV side full time. What do I need to do? I was expecting a quickie answer. And, here's your autograph, move on. No, he got up and went and got a folding chair, set it down next to him. He said, come here, sit down. Talked to me for over 30 minutes, telling me what to do, how to do it, and why. And to put it in a nutshell, he said, show up, volunteer, and add to the show. If they like what you're doing, they're going to keep you. And that's what I did. I started showing up with my scanner and headset and notepad and said, hey, y'all need some help today? They're like, sure. So that's how it started.
Before we get too far, I mean, we know what you do, and probably the people that are watching and listen, they may not know what you do. So maybe tell everybody what your job is and what is it you do.
Well, when the weekend begins, we start searching. I get to talk to drivers, crew chiefs, teams, sponsors, anybody involved in it that weekend. And we try and dig up human interest stories, something interesting about a crew person, what they used to do and what they do now. And we call those in-pocket stories. So it might be the team went and climbed Mount Everest last week for a team building thing. And you can see it really worked today on that pit stop because they was in focus, they was together, and it really worked out doing that. So those are the human interest stories that we try and save for the show. Now, that's what we're digging up all week during the practice and qualifying shows and talking to people. Now, race day, Sunday, I have a scanner. There's only 2 pit talent, so I've got half the field that I'm listening to in my scanner. And I have PR people that work in each pit. It will either come up to me and tell me what's going on, or they'll text me, keep me informed. So when you finally come down to pit road and the pit talent's going to do a pit stop and they call it, they'll say something like, here's Alex Bowman coming in for his pit stop. He went and saw the children at the Children's Hospital this weekend. It was really nice of him. His car's been pushing like a dump truck coming out of too loose off turn 4. They're going to make a wedge adjustment for tires down and away. So that whole pit stop call was a combination of what the pit talent has gathered and what I had gathered off the scanner. So you hear my words on TV, you just don't know it.
Well, man, that's really cool. Do you ever have a problem with them giving you stuff, or are they just free with it all the time?
It's funny when you have to explain to them. And how do you say it? PR people, some are there for a long time. Some it's a stepping stone moving up to something else. And so you will get rookies that come into the sport, and they're not sure what to give you, what not to give you, because they don't want negative publicity on their driver. So if the driver said this car is a piece of poop and you could just take it and poop, they don't want that on there, but that's funny and that sells. So yeah, we will put that on there. But then you have to explain to them, if you're going to send me something, of course the human interest stories, but when you're talking about the car in the moment, don't just send me the word tight. Don't send me the word loose and then turn around and text me and say, why didn't I get on air? You're not going to make air with the word tight. Hey, the car's tight. Back to you.
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, I understand that. That's the way it works.
Because when I listen to the drivers, they're much more descriptive in what the car's doing and where the car's doing. At the 3/4 mark, I'm too loose. I can't widen my entry to catch it before I lose it in the center because it's too tight. They're very well spoken, explaining to the crew chief what's going on, so the crew chief has a better chance of fixing it. And so, and then when the PR person says, "Yeah, we're tight," I don't buy that.
So, do you have like a favorite moment? I mean, you probably got several favorite moments.
I would say it was a lesson learning moment. I've worked for so many talents, so many networks over the years, and all of them have been a joy. But the one where I learned my lesson, when I write the notes, back then it was pencil and paper. We didn't have iPads like we do now. So I'm writing these notes. It's I'm wanting to say TNN Sports. We was working a truck race in Memphis, Tennessee. And I was working with Dave Burns. And I was referring to what a truck driver was saying on the radio, how, oh, the truck is just awful. I can't make it turn. And that's all he said. But at the end of that, I wrote what I would have said. Yeah, this truck is dropping to the back of the pack like a rock in the mighty Mississippi. Because we was there in Memphis. Well, I didn't put that in quotes or parentheses, so he assumed the driver said that, and he read it for word on air, and I was like, oh, he didn't say that part. That was me.
That's pretty wild. Did they call you out on it, or did you say anything?
Oh, I told him after the race. He didn't know at the time, but after the fact, I said, Dave, I've learned my lesson. I will never write anything down unless the driver said it word for word. So no more ad libs from me.
Who was the most favored person you've worked with? I mean, who would you say was your, the one you really like working with the most?
Wow. Well, I guess you'd have to say the closest to me was Steve Burns.
Yeah.
Because we'd been together for so long, and I used to stay in his Winnebago at the campgrounds at the tracks and go stay at his house, and we just really was good friends on and off the track. And there was one time, it was at his funeral actually. I'm up front talking to his wife Karen and his family, and I said, "This is funny, but I spent more time with him than y'all did because we was together 4 or 5 days out of the week."
Yeah.
So when do you show up at the racetrack, and when do you guys leave?
I go in on Thursdays and I fly home Monday morning.
Oh wow, okay.
Okay. You got
but I got to tell you this story about another talent I worked with, Parker Klickerman.
Okay.
Right now, what I use is iPad, and I hear it or it's texted to me, and I write it down on my iPad, and I turn it around and show it to my talent. And they take a moment, read it, and either write it on their stuff or put it in their head, and they nod their head when they're done, and I put it away. So I'm working with Parker, and I hold it up, and it's a good paragraph of what the driver was saying. He looked at it for 3 seconds and did the nod and looked away. And I'm thinking to myself, there is no way he read that. Why am I here? Why am I writing this stuff down? Why am I handing it to you if you're not going to use it? And 10 minutes later, he gets on air and repeats everything I had on that iPad word for word in his report. He's got a photographic memory, and I didn't know it.
I was going to say, I didn't think he was that smart.
I didn't either.
Yeah. That was crazy. So, yeah, he does that all the time.
Dang, no.
I mean, you get plenty of walking around time during the race. I've seen you everywhere, up and down pit road and everything.
The only time I see him still is when he's at Andrews, and I ain't just for a few minutes to eat.
Well, I see him on pit road, but I mean, it's really cool that you get to do that, and you get that rapport with all the drivers and crews. That's got to be great.
Oh, my most favorite part, if I get the time to help with research and talk to crew chiefs in the mornings, when some folks, you walk into the back of the hall or up in the where the engineers and people sit. When people walk in there, they're all like, shh, they're going to hear our secrets. They're going to hear what we're talking about. But if it's me walking in there, they'll look at each other and go, it's just Walter. Go ahead. Keep telling me.
Yeah. It's one of those things that, we do. We're really close to some of the teams out there, more so in the past than we are right now, I guess. But we're real close to them, and they know they can trust us when we come around them. They don't,
It's hard to keep your mouth shut sometimes, Walter.
Yes, I agree. I tell you what, though, listening to Carson earlier, if I could throw this in there real quick. I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, back in the day, there used to be an owner, there used to be a sponsor, and there used to be a car. And all that is sitting in one package. And now that owner would go out and look and find that talented driver to sit in this sponsored car. I feel so bad now, people like Carson. They have to go dig for the sponsors and bring the money to the table. And they're not hardly making any money on those deals. So you're not seeing talent in the cars as much as you used to. You're seeing money.
Right.
So I wish I would go back to the days of a talented person. So we're getting all these young people in there that's got talent that don't get a chance because they're not bringing the money. I feel really sad for that situation.
Yeah, no, there's a lot, and it's like there was an Xfinity driver. I'm not gonna call him out. That he brung money to the team, and he said I didn't make $1 because I didn't put a salary in the package for myself.
Yeah,
and I mean it is unfortunate because I think the power of the money is in the wrong person's hand, but that's just how the way our sport has migrated.
Yes, I'm not happy with it.
I don't see it changing or anytime soon. I don't see it changing.
No, I don't either.
No. It's sad.
Give some of your millions away.
Well, Walter, we appreciate you coming on here and spending some time with us tonight. I mean, it's really great that you did that.
Yeah.
I know you got a lot going on, and taking time out for us, it means a lot to us. And hopefully we'll bump into you at the racetrack and aggravate you a little bit there too.
I look forward to it. Anytime you want me on, I'm available. Just give me a shout down here in Theta.
All right, we'll do that. We'll do that again real soon. How about that?
Yes, sir. I look forward to it.
All right. Thank you, Walter. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
You too.
It is pretty neat because people don't realize all those different jobs that are in the sport that people have no idea.
Oh yeah. I'm eating off this pizza.
Help yourself, man. We're gonna throw it away after we leave.
We should get it like a segment where everybody or someone gonna donate $5 and I just keep eating pizza. Tire sauce on it.
Don't say that at the end of the show. You should have said that at the beginning. It's too late now.
No, because then I'd be like the whole pizza in.
Well, it's really cool that we had those guys on. Even Shanna and Carson and Walter.
I mean, who would have thought there'd be an IT person at the racetrack?
I know.
Well, you look at the pit boxes like we were talking about earlier. They cost more than the cars.
Yes.
Well, not NASCAR, but like
a street
my
car.
truck.
I mean,
Yeah,
this thing runs from anywhere. A cheap one's probably $50,000, and they're up to $100,000 or more.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. And you look at them, they 3 or 4 TVs on them.
Yeah. Hell, sometimes walking up down pit road, I walk by a pit box because there's usually 5 TV space in this direction, and one of them has timing and scoring on it. It's got the TV channel playing on it for whatever fans or sponsors are there. I mean, a lot of these teams, they have a full-time cook, and that's all they do is come to the racetrack, and I say that's all they do, but
I thought the hauler drivers did that.
Some do. Some do.
I don't know of any more.
Well, I don't know either about now, but
there's essentially three companies. So you have one that's the big one, and I can't think of their name, but they kind of took place. It used to be called Garlic Garage, and they've come and left. But there's I forget her name. I'm drawing a blank, but she does a bunch of teams, and then you have Rick Ware, and then Andrew works for them, and then they do RFK, Rick Ware. There's the RFK's Xfinity team. And then they're associated with one or two other ones. Essentially, what they do is they pay Rick Ware to feed their sponsors
Gotcha.
or whoever they're bringing to the racetrack.
He says, Andrew says, no
Cat.
more cooking haulers.
Yeah,
Drivers.
colored, yeah. I don't know of
And
any. I
Cat
think-
is the girl.
Yeah, Cat. And then we got Bob that does for the trucks and Xfinity that in the other garage essentially. He doesn't do any of the cup stuff anymore. I don't think that's allowed. And we had Showman. That Showman retired last year.
Yep.
They've got somebody over there taking his spot that does the other ones. But I mean, there's just there's a lot of jobs that people don't realize that are in the Haas Automations. So it's part of the Rick Ware and RFK stuff. But people just don't realize like how many other jobs there, how many people.
Takes to even just do one car, let alone the whole thing.
Well, and that's why it's not as much more to do 2, 3, 4, 5, or 3 cars because you already have a chef there, right? So that's one aspect that doesn't have to be sort of billed to the second team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And then you can't get no better than Andrew. I don't care what you say. There ain't nobody in that garage better than Andrew.
Well, I will say Andrew is the only culinary chef in the garage.
Well, I don't.
That's a fact.
I don't know what all that means to him. All I know is he damn well cooks good. We eat decent when we're there.
Yeah.
So
he 99% of the time has better food than what the media center has.
99. 99.9.
Well, and I will say by Andrew, and I think this kind of goes back to his culinary skills that, some places they have hot dogs, hamburgers, right? Anybody can do that. Andrew has a pretty good variety and listens to what some of the pit crew guys want because they're on particular diets. And then he cooks, and I won't say, what he cooks, but, certain things for the drivers or what they want. They have a specific thing that they want every week.
Right, not like you said, not just burgers and hamburgers. Just
Right,
chicken.
anybody can do that.
Yeah.
But, he has a really good, and for me, and I'm a picky eater, but a lot of the stuff, I'll go over there and eat, and people are like, it's got this in it, and he'll explain to me what it is. I'm like, and it's pretty good.
So a lot of times you go, nah, not tonight.
Well, I don't eat all the stuff that the pit crew guys like because they're all, they're trying to stay fit, and I mean, I got to figure it's round. So.
All right, that's our show for tonight, man. That's a great show. We had Matt on here talking about his Pro 6 time.
Yep.
I'm just grateful you don't have to race against Scott. And that,
One day.
Well, no, ain't no one day. Don't get him started now. Let it go. But anyway, next week on the show, we're going to have Cindy Lou Who.
Okay.
Crystal West is going to be here next week. Sparky, I hope Sparky comes with her. We're also going to have Dan Rogers from up at Dominion Speedway. Got his first win in their limited late model class up there.
Okay.
So he's going to be with us
That's
next
the
week.
premier class up there this year.
So we'll have him on next week, and so that's a pretty good show for next week too. So, but I think this week was really good.
It was. It was neat. It's different. And shout out to Andrew. Thanks, Andrew, for always being our buddy.
Yeah, and I mean we can't do a lot of things if it wasn't for
I mean,
Andrew.
we'd starve at a race. I would starve at a racetrack sometimes.
Yeah, well,
What's wrong with the chicken tenders and fries?
Man, some of the food in the media center.
Look.
Some of them have good food.
What would you take if you see? But what's some of the stuff he's fixed? I mean,
Man, I don't even know what the hell some of the stuff's called.
I mean
But I mean, it's
he fixed
and then
gourmet
there'll be
food,
like 2 things, and the next day we sort of mix that together, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty neat.
but he has like gourmet food.
Yeah.
The hell, a fish, a piece of chicken ain't nothing compared to what
Maybe
you eat
come
in
over
there.
the morning.
Well, I'm not arguing that. I mean,
Because listen, I'll come if Andrew's cooking.
yeah, no doubt. Andrew's too far away. He'll be in Talladega.
Tell me about it. So anyway, we had a great show. Please like and share our show and pass it along. And we'll talk to you again next Tuesday night with Cindy Lou Who.
See you guys.